Member countries arrived Washington, D.C. with the tariff and counter-tariff measures on the front burner. Although the U.S. President Donald Trump froze the tariff measures by 90 days weeks ago for most countries, the World Trade Organization warns it could reshape global trade into two rival blocs. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala, Director General of the organization, who spoke with reporters at the World Bank IMF Spring Meetings in Washington, D.C., explains that while the hike does not directly affect members of the African continent, the action by the U.S. even calls for measures for Nigeria and indeed Africa to deliberately improve on intra-African trade, especially through value addition.
Impact for the continent as a whole is not that bad. However, it's both good news and bad news. Good news is that it's limited. Bad news is, well, we're not trading that much, which is not a good thing. But the problem is that within Africa, there are a handful of countries that are very severely impacted because they've got high reciprocal tariffs put on them, and these are poor countries. I'll just use two as an example. One is Lesotho, that everybody is talking about, that has 50% reciprocal tariffs. It exports $200 million worth of textiles to the U.S., imports about $3 million worth of goods from the U.S., so very little. And if you look at that, if those tariffs are implemented on Lesotho, it will lose almost half a percentage point of its GDP growth, which is huge for a poor country. It will lose a lot of its exports to the US, even though it might gain a little bit by exporting elsewhere. So the issue is, how can we avoid having such reciprocal tariffs on Lesotho? So we are asking the US to look at least developed countries, the poorest, and to try to waive these reciprocal tariffs.
She speaks to volumes and values of transactions between the most impacted African nations and the United States of America, and why they should look towards another direction to mitigate the impact on their economies.
In investment, you have to do so much more in terms of mobilizing domestic resources to put infrastructure in place, removing bureaucratic barriers so investment can come in. And this is what we need to do, and we need to trade more. We cannot trade more externally, where our trade is only 3% of world trade, or internally, where intra-Africa trade is 16 to 20% at most. If we don't add value to our products, we keep exporting the same things. Commodities that are not processed. We don't create jobs. So we must attract investment to change that, and then trade internally. Can I give you one example? Lesotho is exporting $200 billion worth of textiles to the US, and we're all lamenting this market will be taken away. Guess what? Africa spends $7 billion importing textiles. So why can't Lesotho sell its textiles in the African markets? It's making jeans. We import jeans, whether it's first hand or second hand. Why can't Lesotho trade within Africa and sell? This is the kind of thinking we need.
The World Trade Organization last week slashed global trade outlook following disruptions fueled by the tariffs.